he cares about is what options he's got. So if she goes and picks Kieran, I guarantee you, the next minute he's gonna be like, oh, you know, like, walking over to the phone, he's like, you look beautiful tonight. Shut up! Like, actual shut up! Like, why are you even saying that?
Am I the only one who feels like the interaction or the cliffhanger that we were left on was anticlimactic? Because it seems like Belle, on her part, felt like the viewers would turn on her if she went all guns blazing to Sean, and this is why she was very lackadaisical in how she approached him. Sadly, she had a good thing going with Shaq, but she decided to dump that for something else, and now Sean is really going to play with her and make her look like an idiot when she could have stayed with Shaq and she would have had a better chance. I think she thought Sean, with his sort of sweet guy charm, would get her to the win, but it doesn't look that way. And then Jess and Charlie. Charlie likes to manipulate girls. That's the impression that I'm getting. He wants all the girls to be interested in him, and then he gets his pick of the litter, because there was no need for him to start anything with Jess, especially after marking his territory. And Sean always likes to be in with the popular crowd. I think he's realized that AJ won't have the time of day for him, so he's decided to push up on Sammie. Do I think Sammie is going to like him? No, I don't think so. I think he's just wasting his time, and sadly he's lost a good thing. And if I were Belle, I would pivot and go to Connor, because Connor has no one else. And then the makeup debacle between Whitney and what's his name, Jack? Oh my god. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars, Season 3, Episode 5. So we pick up from where it ended in the previous episode. We have Belle sit down for a chat with Sean. I expected her to hold him more accountable than she did. It was really anticlimactic in the sense that she could have dialed that in. She didn't even need to sort of stroll across the villa and get everybody else to stand up and leave, because there was nothing there. Yes, she's upset that Sean has played her. She thought she was going to play him, but he has actually played her. And, you know, he lied to her. She's asking, why did you lie to me? Why did you make out in bed with me if you knew that you had feelings or were open to exploring a connection with somebody else? You told me you were excited to have been picked by me, and yet you're telling people that you would have preferred Helena. Make that make sense? So I get where she was coming from. I get why she was upset. Sadly for her, she wasted her energy on Sean. I don't think Sean is the guy. She could have done better than Sean. Jess then has a conversation with Tommy where she's trying to sort of say, I told Belle because I didn't want my girl looking like an idiot being played by Sean. And for Tommy to try and sort of recycle or rinse whatever he said. No, you said it. You shouldn't have said it. It's too late. There's no way in you trying to say you were trying to give a positive spin. No, at the end of the day, you were a tattletale, and here we are. Whitney went to the terrace with Jack. And so Jack was after a kiss from Whitney. It seems like on Love Island, there are certain things that when you're asked for, you can't say no. I think kissing people, yes, at their discretion, can say no. But when you're pulled for a chat, you can never say no. So they went to the terrace, started talking, and Jack was saying, it seems like we're the only couple that haven't kissed. And they went in for the kiss. And poor man, because he is as white as paper, as soon as he kissed Whitney, all of Whitney's makeup went on his face, and you could actually see the outline. His poor, ginger mustache was covered in foundation, and it was just something else. And so it was nice to see them get excited. Whitney, from that moment, softened up because she said, oh, baby daddy, now I see why he's got a baby. And it's like, Whitney, be mindful of what you say. Anyway, I think whatever happened, there must have been a spark there, because after that, she seemed more softer towards him. She wasn't as standoffish or as dismissive as she was at the start. The conversation between Millie and Connor for me is like watching paint dry. Personally, I don't understand why we brought Connor back. Connor's an amazing guy. He needs to go to Love Island games. He doesn't need to be on Love Island because the girls are very shallow. They don't see past him. Or he can actually go to Love is Blind because he's one of the sweetest guys, but the girls want someone who's a bit rougher around the edges, and he is not that. And sadly, Millie has shown that she's not it. She said, there was no initial spark. She's going to regret this, especially seeing how Charlie is playing the field and is now exploring things with Jess. She's going to regret having let go of such an amazing guy. You had, Tommy and Sean go to the terrace for a chat. one of them will have to leave, and I can foresee what production getting rid of one of them. I think Sean is being messy because he's been told that one of you is leaving, and so he's decided to be messy in hopes that production don't let go of him. For Tommy to try and sort of re-rinse it, I was trying to compliment Helena because I knew she was very upset. Blah 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 blah. It doesn't make sense, and I don't care really. Helena then had a conversation with Belle, and Belle was telling her about the whole situation with Sean and how they came to sort of clash, butt heads, because he was telling her one thing and telling everybody else something else. Helena, it's good for her that she has someone interested in her, but sadly, I don't think Sean on his part is interested in Helena. Neither do I think he's interested in Sammie. I think he just wants to be a part of the mix and he wants the girls to pick him. This is all he's after. He wants the girls to pick him, and so he's going to do and say anything that he thinks will sort of interest the girls and get them to pick him. Otherwise, romantically, I don't think there's anything there. I love that Shaq then pulled Helena for a chat and went for a chat with her and told her about the case, with, well, he had already told her about the case with AJ, but he wanted to apologize because of how it made her look and how it came across. So he promised that he wouldn't kiss AJ. And so for me, it's like, I think he was a bit slow there because in promising that he's not going to kiss AJ, he needed to have also said, I'm not going to kiss you as well. Because then it would make more sense that you are not doing any physical affection with any one of the girls, but you're just relying on chats and you'll see who you are interested in. He's very physically and sexually attracted to AJ. He said this, and you can see from his body language. Helena, I think, was happy because with Helena, she's very easygoing with the guys, and I think this is why they take advantage of her because she doesn't set boundaries. She did try setting boundaries with Shaq, but I I don't know. I think yes, she knows she didn't come across in her previous season, and I think this is why she's trying to sort of stand up for herself. That way, history doesn't repeat itself. But if she's not careful, history is going to repeat itself. It might not be Shaq, but one of the other boys is going to play with her. My money's on Sean. You then had Shaq go and pull, AJ to let her know that he has spoken to Helena and is not going to be AJ. Shaq is smitten because of the way he was carrying her to put on the counter, the way he was holding her hand, the way you can see he really likes her. He really likes AJ, but he's trying to sort of come across in a positive spin, or he's trying to put a positive spin on himself because of how, things ended with his previous relationship and how he came across on his previous season. That's the impression that I get. Do I think he's physically attracted to AJ? Yes. Do I think they have a great spark? Yes. Do I think they like each other romantically? Yes. So it's a matter of whether or not he's going to be able to own up to that promise. He was asked by AJ that if you're not going to kiss me, does that mean you're not going to kiss Helena as well? That was the first time he sort of sank home that, oh, maybe my promise was one-sided and I should have really thought about it before making this promise. And so I don't know how much longer he can resist AJ because he really seems to be struggling. But I think at the same time, he needs to reevaluate. I don't think Helena is it for him, in my opinion. That's just me speaking. Um, Surprise, surprise, we saw this conversation between Charlie and Jess. I didn't expect that. I really didn't expect that because there was a lot of flirting and talking about kissing and stuff. I said it before and I'll say it again. Tommy is boring. This is why the girls he couples up with end up leaving him because he's too sweetie. He's too cutesy. I think he's more ideal for sort of a high school sort of dating, not for dating in the real world, especially with people who have experience in dating. Do I think Charlie likes Jess romantically? Nah. I think he wants to win, so he's going to do anything and everything within his power in order to win. He knows Jess is a winner, and I think this is why he's now decided to sort of pay her attention. He wasn't paying her attention before, and yet suddenly we are expected to believe that now he's romantically attracted to Jess and he wants to kiss her. Because the surprising thing is he went from Jess and then he jumped over, he went to Millie. With Millie, he was chatting with her. He sort of implied, I don't quite remember, I think he implied that Jess was, making a pass at him, but he really didn't come out and say that. I think this is what Millie heard. And then from there, he kissed Millie and then turns around and says, oh, Jess and I were flirting and we're talking about kissing. And it's like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to mark your territory in front of everyone by kissing this woman and letting everyone know that you're with her. And then as soon as she turns her back, you're off to somebody else. Charlie, I think, is the most villainous sort of islander this season. And if they're not careful, oh my God, I hope they send him home. I really do. But then I love his level of toxicity as well. I would rather he stay and Tommy and what's his name, Sean, go home. Anyway, you have the islanders get ready for the night. People are asking Bella how she feels about the whole situation with Sean, because it is messy and it's not a good look to be played by someone who looks like Sean. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't have any charisma. He doesn't have anything stand out, especially this season when he's been told not to talk about his sweets. There's nothing else that makes him stand out apart from the fact that he's annoying. That's the only thing. At least with Tommy, he's sweet. Anyway, the islanders get ready for bed, and when the girls are leaving to go to bed, you have Whitney sort of say to Scott, Scott, why are you looking at the girl's bum? Whitney and Scott have this sort of brother and sister relationship, and for Scott to say to her, that is the wildest thing you've ever said to me. It's like, what else has she said to you before? I love their relationship, Whitney and Scott. I love how well they get along. Do I see them as a marriage? They could get married. They could be in a relationship, a romantic relationship. But that would bring Scott out of his shell. I don't know how much more she can bring him out, but hey, I love them. Everybody got ready for bed. It was very tense in bed, and surprisingly, Helena was cuddling, or was being cuddled by Shaq. And it's like, which is it? Are the two of you sort of putting space because you want to be respectful, or are you allowed to make it out in bed because you're a couple and the other woman has to wait on the sides? Surprisingly, Whitney was very giddly in bed, and she and Jack made out again. And it's like, oh my God, Whitney is gone. Whitney is gone. Hopefully, Jack doesn't wander off to anywhere else, because the girls were already teasing her that, do you want to be a part of Boyzone? So I don't know. I can't wait to see what happens with that connection. In the morning, you have Jess sit down for a chat with Whitney and Belle, and she was sort of talking about her conversation with Charlie the night before and how things were going and how she's not really feeling the spark with Tommy. I think she coupled up with Tommy and was happy to couple up with Tommy because she felt he was comfortable for her, and he would make her, the time in the villa easier and safer because he wouldn't leave her. But I think with time she's started to get the ick, and this is why she's finding fault with him. And the girls were saying, Charlie's not in a relationship, so you can explore connections with him. Do I think Charlie's the better of the two? No, I think for drama, yes. But romantic wise, I don't think he is. I think Charlie is a walking red flag, and I'm really surprised that this is where, Jess has decided to go. While the girls were chatting, you had Connor come across. Well, he came with, what did he come with Tommy? So he came and he pulled Whitney for a chat. He's from Ghana, she's from Nigeria, and the fact that they were high fiving and saying, we are united. Do I see them as a romantic connection? I think it's too late. I really do. I think Jack has managed to woo Whitney, and so it's too late for him to sort of try and squeeze in there. I think had it not been sort of for the fact that Whitney and Jack had gone up to the terrace and had started becoming physically intimate, maybe he would have had a shot. But at the moment, I don't think he stands a chance. And neither do I think Whitney is his type. I agree with the person in the comment that his type might be blonde. And so, sadly for him, he has to wait on a bombshell or else he's going home. What do I think of Sammie and Kieran? I think they make a cute couple. I think they complement each other very well because Kieran, outside of the fact that he's very outspoken and he fights for those that he thinks are being wronged, I think he likes someone who's mellow, and I think Sammie would be it for him. She seems to like him. I love their chats. I love how cutesy they are. We barely get to hear their conversations, which makes me think that they have a strong connection, and production don't want us to know that. Yes, there is an age gap. I would assume it's a 3-4 year age gap. But Kieran is a bit too mature for his age, so that would work out very well. I normally don't encourage, such a big age gap, but I think they would work out. They look very cute aesthetically together, and they seem to have a great thing going, even though we don't get to hear what the great thing is. He then had Belle sit down for a conversation with Sean, and Sean is looking like someone has stolen his bowl of cereal. He's pretending to be confused, he's pretending to be innocent and naive of what's going on. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's trying to kiss as many girls as he can, he's trying to make out with as many girls as he can. He's trying to have all the girls chasing after him. So the idea that he's sitting in front of her and she's allowing him to play in her face, this is something that I don't understand. If I were her, I would have told him, I'm sorry, but we're done, it's over. For him to try and make excuses, it's not going to fly. So I found it really strange because you had everybody just sitting around, and then suddenly you had Charlie and Jess go to the secret garden for a chat. What do I think? I think there is a lot of power play being there's a lot of games or power play taking place in the sense that Jess has realized that with Tommy she won't get screen time. So she's decided to get screen time by being messy and involving herself in this Charlie situation. Charlie is after screen time and is after winning, so he will do whatever he thinks was in his best interest because otherwise there was no need for him to go to the secret garden. Yes, they said they were open to getting to know one another. Yes, they want to continue to explore their connection. Do I see it growing past where it is? No, I don't think so. I really don't. The fact that they didn't kiss tells me that this is more a strategic sort of mindset. Obviously, everybody saw them go in the secret garden. You had Scott playing CNN and making sure that everybody knew. Tommy was told that, they're in the secret garden, and it's like she's not his property. He's lucky he was coupled up with her on day one because production were looking out for him. But sadly, his use has run out for Jess, and she wants someone who's going to give her the film, the vibe. And so for Charlie to try and push Jess and say you need to have a conversation with Millie, it's like, why is Jess having a conversation with Millie about what? What is there exactly that's going on? He loves to be a master manipulator. He likes to think he's in control, and he likes to think that he can tell everyone and anyone what to do. And this is what I get from his connection with Jess and from his connection with Millie. It's like Charlie is looking for who he can control, and this is how he keeps sort of wanting to play the girls against one another. I love that Scott and Leanne were just sitting there and being nosy, being nosy. We didn't get to hear their conversations, which tells me that they're doing very well. Otherwise, we would have been shown their toxicity because that's what it seems production is basing, or hoping to show us. Once they came out of the secret garden, you had just go and have a chat with Millie. And she was saying, I'm open to getting to know him. That's when it came out that apparently Jess was up the one putting all the pressure and trying to sort of explore something with Charlie. No, she wasn't. It was a 50-50, in my opinion. Jess was saying it was more Charlie than her. In my opinion, watching it, it was a 50-50. They were both interested in one another and they were both putting the moves on one another. So the idea that Jess is playing the innocent victim, I do not buy it and I don't get it. And so I'm pleasantly surprised. Charlie was telling the guys that he had a good chat with Jess. He's very happy with Millie, but he's also open to getting to know Jess. The guy sort of called him out. So did the two of you kiss? And he went, no, we didn't. I was just wiping my mouth when we came out, just for the fun of it. And it's like, this is what I mean. That he's a master manipulator. He's trying to do what's in his best interest, and that's all that matters to him. You then had Sean pull, Sammie for a chat, and he's saying, I've been waiting for my turn, and I feel it's now my turn. I need to step up, sort of, and make my intentions known that I really like you. Does he really like her? I think he might, but he knows she's out of his league, and he wants to win her so that he can be the most popular of the guys because he thinks he will have done something very incredible by winning Sammie. Do I think Sammie likes him? No, because of the way she spoke to him. Even though he's older than Kieran, he comes across as very immature when you compare him to Kieran. So if I had a choice, even if I was the one who's picking, I would have picked Kieran over Sean any day, regardless of what he did in his season, because he possesses a level of immaturity that is beyond fixable, in my opinion. You then had, Shaq and AJ go to the terrace for a chat. This was a bit of drama because Shaq and her were going to go for a chat, and then AJ said, "Let's go to the terrace." They went to the terrace. They were sitting, they were flirting, they were chatting, and she really tried to put the moves on him. And he said, "No, I have to be respectful because I promised Helena I wouldn't do anything, so I'm not going to do anything." I love that she asked him that. Does this mean that you and Helena are not doing anything? Because if you're holding me back, then you need to hold Helena back. And it's like, I'm happy for Shaq because when he walked into the villa and the girls were sort of saying, "Oh, we're friends with his ex, we're friends with this ex," I worried that he wouldn't get someone. So the idea that he's gone from, people saying we're friends with his ex to suddenly having so many options, I love it for him. I really do. And I hope this really works out for him. So you had everyone wanting to know what was going on. You had Helena and Charlie and everybody else sitting by the sun deck, wanting to look sort of onto the terrace to see exactly what was happening. Scott is messy. Scott is really messy because he then went and told Helena, "Let's go upstairs and see what's happening. Let's pretend like we're looking for something and we'll see what's happening." That wasn't a good look. That really wasn't a good look. It was very immature and very naughty of them to do that. And so I'm happy that when they walked up, yes, they found them cuddling, but they were not kissing, which was really good because they were very quiet. Helena had taken off her shoes to say, let's walk up. But it wasn't a good look for them. It wasn't a good look for her, which is really sad because this might not land as well as she thought it does. Because Shaq doesn't normally go for the drama. Yeah, he was dramatic in his season, but not that toxicity, whatever. Anyway, the islanders get ready for the night. You have everybody sort of pacing around because there's a lot of issues. The main issue is the Helena situation with Shaq and whether he's going to make out with AJ behind Helena's back. And then we have the Sean situation, which doesn't make sense to me. And the other storyline was the Charlie situation. So everybody was discussing that. Once the islanders come out and pick up their drinks, you have Charlie go for a chat with Millie. And Millie was saying to him, I don't understand where this Jess situation came from because the two of us were happy and then suddenly Jess is in the mix. For him to say, I am single, I'm not in a couple, I have to explore connections. Well, if that's what you're doing, then stop kissing somebody else in front of everyone. Stop kissing Millie in front of everyone and claiming that you've kissed her to mark your territory so that nobody else can go there and she doesn't explore with anyone else while you're doing whatever you want to do. I didn't like that. I really didn't. She called him out on the fact that he had, well, in her opinion, lied and said Jess was pursuing him. And he said, I never told you that. I don't know where you got it from, which made her look like an idiot. But hey, to each their own. You then had Sean go for another chat with Sammie. Sammie doesn't feel Sean like that. The way she keeps saying, oh, that shows she's not into him romantically. She doesn't see anything there. There's no spark. There's nothing. And so the idea that he wants to tell Belle that, I'm now open to exploring Sammie. Yes, you're open to exploring Sammie. Sammie is humoring you because this is the concept of the show. But I don't think you should burn up your spot like that. But that's just my opinion. Jess went to the terrace with Tommy and she told him that, I've really tried to explore something with you, but there's no spark, there's no there's no in this thing. It's so boring. The fact that she really called him out and said, I said to myself, in my next relationship, I want to date someone who's moved out of their parents' house and has lived on their own for a bit because I live alone. I do this. That just showed how immature he is. He's 23 years old. And so the idea that his mom cooks his food, she provides him shelter, and she still does his bed and washes his laundry. Yeah, I don't think she wants to assume the role of his mother. So I get where she's coming from, and I guess why she's cooling things down. He wasn't happy because he felt she should have told him in advance or pre-warned him. But it's like, well, you need to be able to read the signs. Instead of wasting time busy mouthing off and reporting on Sean, maybe you should have been minding your own business. Helena went for a chat with Shaq, and Shaq wasn't happy. He told her that, I wasn't happy with the fact that you came up to the terrace. I told you I wasn't going to do anything. I needed you to trust me because I'm trying to be a good person. And so the idea that you felt the need to sort of come up. And she said, well, I didn't think. Scott said, let's go. And I just went. And it's like, well, you need to stop and think, Helena. At your big age, you're almost 30. You need to stop and think. You can't allow other people to think for you. You need to stop and think and ask yourself, is what I'm doing in my best interest or not? If it's not, then maybe you need to pivot. And so the idea that she tried to sort of put it on Scott, it wasn't Scott's fault. It was her fault for following. She has a mind of her own. She could have easily turned around and said no. The girls then went for a chat, and while they were chatting, Sean came and pulled Belle. And he said to Belle, I just wanted to let you know that I find, Sammie to be attractive. And it's like, why are you telling her that? That is not her business. I agree with her. That is not her business. For him to ask her, so where do we go from here? What do you think, Sherlock Holmes? We're going home. We're packing our bags. Let's go to the airport and we land at Heathrow. What do you think? I love that she really held this fight to the fire. She wasn't as, gangster as I expected her to be. I expected her to be more sort of hold him more accountable, but I think because he plays this innocent cutesy guy, she doesn't want the backlash, and this is why she was trying to be sweet with it. So she then stormed off, had a conversation with Jess, and was telling Jess about what happened. For Scott and Leanne to be laughing and listening in, they're just messy and petty, but I love it. I don't know. I think Belle made her own bed the moment she left Shaq, as I said. She had other options. She should have stuck to them, but she chose to go with Sean, and now Sean is making her look like an idiot. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 3. Bye guys.